Folks, week one is finally here. Welcome back to SaberSim for the 2025 NFL season. We spent our entire offseason listening to your feedback, and the message was clear. You loved the power of our sims, but some parts of the process were just too confusing. We heard you. So, we rebuilt the core of SaberSim to be more powerful, yet way more intuitive. And the best example of this is our new portfolio diversifier. For years, DFS players have been stuck using clumsy tools like min uniques to diversify their lineups. We've replaced that guessing game with a one-of-a-kind algorithm that not only does the job better, but it does the hard work for you. And this is one of just 4 huge improvements that I'm going to show you today. And don't worry, the SaberSim you know is still right here. It's just smarter, faster, and easier to use. So let's jump in. First, let's talk about this feature that makes old school diversification tools obsolete, the new portfolio diversifier. Managing risk across a big set of lineups has always felt like a constant battle. You're either guessing with settings like min uniques or manually capping exposures on players, but you generally never really know if you've struck the perfect balance of getting enough diversification without hurting the quality of your lineups. Well, with the new portfolio diversifier, you don't have to guess anymore. Here's how it works. It analyzes the specific dynamics of your contest that you're actually playing in your entries file, the prize pools, the number of entries you have, the entry fees, everything. And then it builds a portfolio that is mathematically optimized for your specific mix and the exact slate you're building for. It's not about random diversification. It's about giving you a structure that maximizes your upside. Look how balanced these exposures are, and this is for the Week 1 NFL main slate. This is a portfolio that is built for my exact contests that I'm playing here. And here's the best part, and frankly, this still blows my mind every time I see it. You're still in charge. You can still make any manual exposure changes you want, and the diversifier will instantly rerun, finding you the newly most diversified portfolio possible within the lines that you've drawn. So let me show you this here. Again, I'm doing this pretty early before the NFL Sunday slate, so a lot of these projections are going to change. But we're showing Marquez Valdez-Scantling as a value play right now for the 49ers, and we're getting about 30% of him. That might be a little rich for me, for a guy that just signed with them recently and got cut by the Seahawks. Let's say I want to bring him down to, say, instead about 10% exposure. I hit 10%, I click apply. And what we're going to see is the diversifier kick back off here, finding a new diversified portfolio of lineups for me that listen to the exposures that I've requested. And boom, just like that, SaberSim has built me a new diversified portfolio here, listening to the exposures that I set. Drake London is now my highest exposed player on the slate. The other thing that's awesome here is this works perfectly during late swap 2. There's really no change that you have to make in terms of your general overall process here. The diversifier will run and help you diversify your swaps when you're doing late swap builds, giving you the exact same strategic advantage when news breaks that you have to react to. You can, of course, go back to the old way of using min uniques if you want to here. Your default lineup groups, which I'll talk more about in just a second here, will be set to portfolio diversity. But if you click this for any of your lineup groups, say my single entries, I can change this to use uniques instead of diversifier for my single entries or all of my different contests. But you really don't want to sleep on this. The portfolio diversifier lets you focus your high-level strategic decisions on what players you like, what stands you want to take, while handling the complex math of diversification for you. So the diversifier gives you the most power, but this next change really simplifies your entire workflow. We heard from a lot of you last year that the old way of getting your lineups into your contest was clunky and confusing. You had to deal with weird settings, direct fill and autofill, and you never felt totally sure that you were doing everything right. So we created lineup groups to make it feel as simple as organizing files on your computer. So now when you create a brand new build, assuming you have entries files uploaded already to SaberSim, SaberSim automatically organizes your lineups into a separate group for each contest you're in. Your single entry contest will get all grouped together in this single folder here. And that's exactly how you should think about it. A lineup group is really just a folder for your lineups. It keeps things neat and tidy. It's easy to see what lineups are going where. And when you make a change, like adjusting a player's exposure like we just did, it happens inside each of your different folders for the specific contests here. So when I set MVS to a maximum exposure of 10%, that's getting sent to each of these different folders. He will appear in no more than 10% of each lineup group associated with these. He'll appear in no more than 2 of the lineups in my play action. He'll appear in no more than 1 of my 11 lineups that are in my single entries because he's capped at 10%. For the nickel and the cover 4, for example, the lowest exposure any player can have is 33% because it'd be 1 out of every 3. So he's going to be in none of these lineups in this particular case. You always know exactly what's going on without any of the old confusion and uncertainty around exactly what autofill and direct fill mean. Now, that's the default behavior. If you want to customize your particular folders, you can create your own templates here. In this templates menu here, you'll see the 2 default templates. That's what's creating these for me right now, but I can click add new, and I have the ability to make a lot more of different kinds of templates. We explain in detail how these lineup group templates work in our help documentation. So if you're interested in checking that out, that's the place to go. But even if you never touch the templates themselves, the default setup is a massive improvement in terms of managing your lineups. Now, if you're showing up for week 1 and you're used to the old system and you're not ready for this, you can switch back to the old setting in the settings menu in the upper right of the app. You'll see an option to open lineup groups on new build. You can go ahead and just toggle that off. And then when you create a new build, you should see it takes you back to the exact old interface that you're probably already used to here. But seriously, give lineup groups a try. It's designed to be so intuitive that you won't even have to think about it. It just works, letting you focus on building winning lineups. Plus, the portfolio diversifier was built for lineup groups. It's designed around lineup groups. So if you want to take advantage of the portfolio diversification, you do need to use lineup groups. All right, for the next feature, let's talk about late swap. Now, if you're anything like me, you probably love the lineup building process. For NFL, for example, on Sunday morning, I'm following the news, figuring out what stands and fades I want, checking my exposures, and coming up with an overall direction I want for the slate. And it's the worst feeling in the world when there is afternoon news that completely bricks it. Now, all of a sudden, I feel like I have to late swap, which sometimes takes me away from family time or friends time, or actually just sitting down and watching football. And sometimes it ends up bricking my entire portfolio, changing everything that I spent time on in the morning. Now, the old quick swap was essentially a solution to that problem, and it was a huge step up from the default tools on DraftKings and FanDuel. It swapped in the best possible player for any out players you had in your entries. But it had its limits. It was designed to be really fast, but in a rush to get you a valid lineup, it often still ended up breaking up your stacks or leaving a bunch of salary on the table or just quietly killing some of your lineups. The new quick swap is our smart solution to that problem. So our new quick swap not only gets zeros out of your lineups. In this case, I'm imagining a situation where our MVS play ends up getting ruled out before the 49ers game, but it does so while preserving as much of a lineup's upside as possible. You have control over a bunch of new settings, but out of the box, it's going to try to protect your stacks and upgrade other one-offs as necessary to make up any extra salary that you might have opened up from your swap. And if you don't have enough salary to swap out players, we'll find the best multiplayer swap to make, going down on salary on another player in your lineup to find a new viable swap for the player that's gotten ruled out. You can now see exactly what's going to be changed before you accept the swap. There's no more surprises and no more wondering if a swap compromised your strategy. This new quick swap makes it fast and easy to swap players that aren't playing while protecting the work that you put into your lineups. And it's pretty awesome. Now, I know that late swap and especially players getting surprise scratched in the afternoon games isn't always the biggest thing for NFL, especially not in the early part of the season, though in the right week, it certainly can be. But NBA is right around the corner and MLB is still grinding on. It's a huge boost for those sports. I am not kidding when I say that quick swap, this new quick swap, has replaced me late swapping in baseball all summer almost completely. I pretty much always just react to breaking news in baseball with quick swap instead of late swapping now. And finally, not only is just about everything in SaberSim better for this season, but it's actually faster too. Whether you're loading slates, loading player tables, building lineups, late swapping, running contest sims, running the new portfolio diversifier, they all run noticeably quicker now. This was a ton of engineering work. We spent a ton of our summer working on this, but we know how much speed matters, even with NFL, where you're not under a super time crunch, so it was worth the investment here. You should feel a general speed up in the app immediately, especially if you haven't used it since the Super Bowl. But ultimately, the real power here is how all of these features work together in one seamless workflow. Lineup groups give you a clear command center for your strategy. The portfolio diversifier builds a mathematically sound portfolio for you. And the new quick swap protects it all right through the last game's locking. SaberSim is the most powerful DFS toolkit on the market, and nobody else is even close. Go to SaberSim.com, try out everything for 7 days for only $7. And if you need help with any of these new features, we've updated all of the documentation, which you can find right here in our app, clicking the settings menu in the upper left, and then click help. And if you can't find what you're looking for there, you can always reach out in our Discord or by using our in-app chat. These tools are going to help you build better lineups, manage risk smarter, and win more money. Let's make this your best NFL season yet. Good luck.